News Central now. This hour begins in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where the Nigerian police have declared British national Andrew Wynne, also known as Andrew Povich, and Nigerian Lucky Obiyan wanted, placing a 10 million naira bounty on each for their arrest. Both are accused of plotting to overthrow the government. Police spokesman ACP Muyiwa Dejobi claims Wynne established a network of sleeper cells aimed at toppling the government, including renting space at the Nigerian Labour Congress and NLC headquarters to cover his activities. Adejobi alleges Wynne funneled billions of naira to Nigerian collaborators to incite violent attacks on police and military facilities. Labour leader Joe Ajaero, previously questioned over his ties to Wynne, has been re-invited for further questioning. The suspects are believed to have fled the country.
He mobilized and deployed several billions of naira to his Nigerian collaborators, urging them to mobilize the public to violently storm police facilities and military barracks, anticipating a bloodbath. Since the commencement of investigations, Andrew Wynne has fled the country. He and one of his local coordinators, one Lucky Obiyan, have accordingly been declared wanted, and global hunting for them has commenced in connection with this investigation. The 10 other suspects already apprehended have been arraigned before a competent court of law today, Monday, September 2, 2024.
Meanwhile, Andrew Wynne, reacting, said the government was unsettled by the End Bad Governance protests held across the country. Wynne expressed regret that the government has been suppressing the protesters instead of responding to the citizens' demand. This is as he called on the Nigerian Labour Congress to protect the general public, as it did to its president Joe Ajaero when the police invited him. Wynne stated this in a statement on Monday titled "Protests, Not Treason." In the meantime, Angel Innocent, a pregnant mother of 3 who was among the detainees currently on trial for treason following her participation at the recent End Bad Governance protest, has been remanded at the Suleja Correctional Facility in Niger State, north-central Nigeria. Other detainees, including Michael Adaramoye, popularly called Michael Lenin, and 8 others, were also remanded in the Kuje Medium Custodial Center in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
The protesters were arraigned on a 6-count charge bordering on alleged treason, mutiny, and inciting Nigerians against the federal government. The defendants in the suit marked FHC/ABJ/CS/254/2024 are Michael Tobiloba Aderamoye, aka Lenin, Adeyemi Abiodun Abayomi, Suleiman Yakubu, Comrade Apalua, Eliojo, Angel Love Innocent, Buhari Lawal, Mosiu Sodiq, Bashir Bello Nuruddin, and Abdul Dalam Zubair. After pleading not guilty, their counsels urged the court to admit the defendants to bail, since there's no evidence of treason, felony, and mutiny against their clients. This, however, was objected by the counsel to the Nigerian police force.
It's not an issue of protest. It's an issue of inciting mutiny. Mutiny means trying to change government by force, not by constitutional means. So that is the inciting disaffection to the government. So where a person, incite other people, to riot, in order to change the system by force, is what we call mutiny. And, in our laws, it is treason.
The defense counsel say that they are happy their clients have been arraigned according to the laid down laws and not illegally detained.
We've moved their bail application, which has been adjourned to the 11th of September 2024. We'll be back here on that day for their bail, hopefully, by God's grace, and for the police to come forth and prove their case. But there is nothing in the body of evidence, in the body of proof before the court, to show that these guys have done anything aside protesting and demanding for social justice and an equitable government.
We are happy that finally protesters have been charged. Unfortunately, instead of charging them for protest, the Tinubu government has charged them for terrorism. What an irony of some sort. when Bello, Tuje, and other terrorists and bandits are on TikTok having fun and abducting people.
Also, the counsel to Angel Innocent, the fifth defendant, pleaded for a lighter remand order for his client, claiming that she is currently pregnant and will require medical attention. The trial judge ordered that she be remanded at the Sileja Correctional Facility in Niger State, instead of joining others at the Kuje Medium Correctional Facility located in the federal capital.
We moved their bail application, and this is the only thing that we would do. And we have moved their bail application, and also the court has already adjourned the matter to 11 of this month for ruling.
After spending days under police custody, 10 out of the 124 accused protesters are finally been arraigned before the court. The case continues on the 11th of September this year, where the trial judge promised to deliver a ruling on their bail applications. In Abuja, for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party in Edo State has accused the All Progressives Congress of planning a mass arrest of party faithfuls in the state ahead of the upcoming Edo State governorship election. The PDP Youth Alliance for Good Governance, while speaking to newsmen in Abuja, says that the APC is allegedly using state mercenaries to arrest its members in the state, as some have already been arrested by the police and are being unjustly detained. It called on the APC-led federal government to end acts of intimidation of its members and voters in the state.
Recent reports have unveiled a sinister plot aimed at undermining the opposition in Edo State through a series of mass arrests and arbitrary detentions. We have received credible information that the Nigerian police, under pressure from certain quarters, is being weaponized to target and intimidate key opposition figures. Already, individuals like Mr. Amos Tom and Kingsley Osahon have been unjustly detained, while others, including Odion Olaye, Chief Francis Inebiki, Chief Olukaga, Festus Osaibovo, and Kelly Inedegbo, are reportedly on the brink of similar fate. This wave of political repression is not only a gross violation of the rights of these individuals, but also a blatant attempt to silence dissent and instill fear among the electorates.
Let's talk about the lingering fuel scarcity. Nigerians have continued to lament the continuous petrol scarcity that is currently plaguing the country as it now enters its 8th week. Vehicles continue to queue for hours outside petrol stations in anticipation of buying petrol, regardless of the price. While on the side of the government, the NNPCL has acknowledged that it owes a significant debt to petrol suppliers. Our correspondent Bernard Akede visited some petrol stations in Lagos and filed in this report.
As the lingering petrol scarcity enters its 8th week, it seems nothing has changed. Long queues can still be seen outside petrol stations as Nigerians get frustrated even more.
I wonder what is happening in this country. What are we gaining from the federal government, if not for fuel? If they don't know what to do, let them leave the office.
I've been here for over 2 hours. And the way it is, as you can see, we don't know when we are going to leave this place.
I'm supposed to be in my office by now. See, look at me queue for a fuel because I need to get a fuel to move to where I'm working.
The people continue to lament on how this unending scarcity has been affecting their businesses and lives in general. They once again call on the government to seek a permanent solution to this hardship.
Me as a taxpayer, before in my house, where I stay, normally I pay 1,000 naira as tip here, going and coming. But now, sincerely, I pay almost 2,000 naira a day.
I believe if they really want to do this thing, first thing to do is to enable all this refinery. Let our refinery be functioning.
I can look for a way of reducing this wahala for us because we are facing a lot of problems. When you want to go home, problem. When you are coming to go to the office, another problem. So for how long are we? This will not even make us to live long in this country.
Weeks ago, the cause of the scarcity was blamed on logistic challenges, and in a virtual interview with News Central, the National Publicity Secretary, Ipman, gave the same reason for the continued crisis.
Importation problem, road transportation, and we're not producing petroleum products here. So everything, we are sourcing petroleum products from outside the country. So it depends whenever the vessels arrive, whatever hiccups the vessel encounter on the way. It will also definitely affect our local petroleum refined products supply.
Most recently, however, the NNPCL had been accused of owing suppliers. The company eventually responded with a statement signed by its Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Olufemi Shonaye. The statement reads, NNPC Limited has acknowledged recent reports in national newspapers regarding the company's significant debt to petrol suppliers. This financial strain has placed considerable pressure on the company and poses a threat to the sustainability of fuel supply. In line with the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA), NNPC Limited remains dedicated to its role as the supplier of last resort, ensuring nationwide energy security. We are actively collaborating with relevant government agencies and other stakeholders to maintain a consistent supply of petroleum products nationwide. From the statement issued by the NNPCL, no particular time has been given as to when this fuel crisis will eventually come to an end. Nigerians have to wait and see and endure for a little longer. The question now is, how much more can Nigerians endure? In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
We'll go for a break now. When we return, Dangote Refinery set to begin sale of petrol. Join us again. And thanks for staying with us. The Dangote Petroleum Refinery is set to begin the sale of premium motor spirit soon, following a recent test run of the product. Industry sources confirmed that the refinery, with a capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, is finalizing plans with the federal government for distribution. According to latest reports, only the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, will be authorized to sell the Dangote fuel for now. Although the refinery was initially expected to release petrol in June, delays occurred due to a crude oil shortage and a dispute with the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Regulatory Authority, which had accused the refinery of producing substandard diesel. To discuss this, we are joined by Temitope Kolade, Senior Manager and Lead ESG and Climate Change Services at Anderson. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, what are the potential implications of Dangote Petroleum Refinery entering the Nigerian fuel market, and how will it impact fuel prices and availability in the country?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Apparently, one of the things that we would expect to happen would be the availability of the petroleum products going forward. We can expect that because Dangote is producing within Nigeria, even though the vice president of the Dangote Refinery had already mentioned that if Nigerians are not ready to take it up, they could as well explore exports to other maybe West African countries to start with. And we know already that some of the products of Dangote Refineries are going as far as Europe already. But we should expect, again, based on the reports that you've given us, that the NNPCL will take the products and then get it across to Nigerians to buy as consumers.
All right. Could you also share the insight on how this would increase competition among fuel retailers? There are also mentions from Dangote Refinery that should the NNPCL or Nigerian petroleum marketers fail to purchase premium motor spirit or fuel from Dangote Refinery, they will be forced to look elsewhere, possibly outside. How would this stem or indeed bring about competition?
Thank you. And again, the reason why NNPCL is trying to step in to be like a middleman again is that deregulation hasn't happened when it comes to the PMS in itself, petroleum motor spirit. So you would agree with me that to that extent, there is a need to manage the pricing, which is why NNPCL is still trying to be a middleman, right? So really, in terms of pricing, I don't expect anything much to change, except that NNPCL has also now come to us to make it very clear that the burden of subsidy is so much, number one. Two, they are unable to even pay for the products that they've received already. So there is a debt there. So this might be the time when government is saying, you know what, subsidy really has to completely go, right? So apparently Dangote is not going to sell for less than the market price, for less than the price that would make the company profitable. So it wants to get it out at a price that is good. Does the federal government or the NNPCL, for instance, want to continue to bear that cost of subsidy on behalf of the entire nation? I mean, the jury is out, and we just have to wait it out. But we should expect that pricing would go up, really.
All right. Anyway, let me also ask very quickly, how will the recent delays, especially in the refinery operations, affect its overall profitability and impact on the Nigerian economy? We do recall that the refinery was supposed to have kick-started in June, and even before that, and now we're hearing that it's ready to go. How will this have an impact on its profitability and, most importantly, on the Nigerian economy?
To the extent that the refinery is a going concern, profitability is a moving thing. So at the best, the profitability that we should be concerned about will just be for the first year. Going forward from there, the profitability should still be good as long as the company continues to operate. I think the bigger issue would be how do we even resolve this issue completely, to the extent that Nigerians get the fuel that they need, and that the exchange rate problem is solved completely. I think that one of the things that we would get from us having refinery that can supply us of petroleum products in Nigeria now is that there will be less pressure for the demand for USD or other foreign currencies to import fuel, and that would help us manage a sort of balance of trade maybe a little better. Again, if you think about it from the point that, okay, maybe there could be some swap of products, crude to petroleum products from the NNPCL. If the NNPCL is taking delivery of the refined products from Dangote, it should help the country in some way as well.
All right. Well, looking at your response so far, so good. I'd like you to quickly touch on this one. What are the prospects that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery will indeed become a global player, looking at the fact that it's about to kickstart? What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely going to be a global, a very key global player within the refinery industry. Already, we are aware that some of the products that we get from there top quality. The refinery in itself, because it's also new, these things work more efficiently when they are new, when you have, new technology helping to get products out there. So in terms of product quality, and if you also think about the sort of crude that we get in Nigeria is sweet crude, and so in terms of the quality of the things that we even want to refine, it's also about the best quality. So we should expect that there will be that demand for petroleum products from Nigeria, and Dangote, being a business, would want to run most efficiently and most effectively to ensure that it's aligned with global standards. So it's going to be a force to reckon with. 650,000 barrels of crude to operate in a day is also a lot in terms of demand. So there is a lot that Dangote is bringing on board, and I just hope that the issues around the supply of crude to it will be fully resolved, and it will be a continued, sweet story for us as we look at the products and the sort of injection that we get from that industry into Nigeria and the world at large.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kolade, for joining us here on News Now.
Thanks, Robin.
All right. Earlier on, we told you that the Nigerian police has declared wanted the British national Andrew Wynne and a Nigerian known as Lucky Obiyan, placed a 20 million naira bounty on each, especially following the End Bad Governance protests. Joining me now to discuss this is Public Affairs Analyst Jide Ojo. Thank you for being here, Mr. Jide Ojo.
Good morning.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right, quickly, what are the what's your say, especially looking at the fact that the story has moved from the NLC and the raiding that also took place at the NLC office in Abuja, and then later on mentions being made that there's a foreigner who has been spearheading the protest, and then it cut back to the NLC president fingering him to be involved, and now we do have a name, a face, which also ties in another Nigerian. What's your take with the entire drama and the bounty of 20 million naira that has been placed on both of them?
Well, the security agencies have their work cut out for them. If they are alleging that the Briton and his partner Obiyan, if there are evidence to prove their complicity, they have come out, at least the Wynne guy has come out yesterday evening to say he's not on the run, he's on vacation in UK, and he's not aware that he has been, that he was even wanted by the Nigerian police. So I think we should just cut out the sensationalism on the part of the Nigerian police. If I'm of the considered view that what the Nigerian police should have done was to have effected his arrest anytime he comes into Nigeria, and then he could have his days in court. But to resort to media trial by media, I take objection to that because obviously the way this whole drama is playing out, including the fingering of the NLC president and the secretary, and now declaring these two gentlemen, Obiyan and Wynne, declaring them wanted, smacks of politics. And I want Nigerian police to be more professional in their action, because we from about a month when this whole investigation started, we were told the guy runs a bookshop at second floor of the Nigeria Labour Congress building, which we call Labour House in Abuja, and that is involved in terrorism, finance, and all of that. The right thing would have been to lay an ambush for him. You already know his residence, and since he's married to a Nigerian, you can actually get him arrested rather than resorting to this whole dramatization in the media. I think that doesn't do the image of Nigerian police any good.
All right. Andrew Wynne himself has come out to equally respond to the federal government. He said in a statement put out that instead of the federal government to actually listen to the voices of Nigerians and do more to actually pay attention in #EndHunger, which equally frightened the government, he's saying that the government is going the other way, which is repression. Do you think his statement equally shows one who wants to be exonerated from having anything at all to do with the #EndBadGovernance protest? That's one question I'd like you to answer.
Well, that question is coming from a foreigner, is indicting. It's indicting, and it may actually prove that he actually may have given some tacit financial or moral or material support to the protesters. And if that could be proven, which is why I just wish that Nigerian police are more discreet with their investigation. The manner in which they badge on the NLC building in search of incriminating evidence and all of that, I don't think that is just professional enough. If they have credible intelligence, they can activate the Interpol to assist them to arrest this guy. And for when the guy Wynne himself to now be teaching Nigerian police what they should be doing, I don't think it shows him as somebody who is innocent of some of the charges that may have been pressed against him. Because we do know that some foreigners actually aided and abetted the EndBadGovernance protest. It's just not ordinary that you have citizens of Nigeria, for the first time since the history of protest, that you will now be having them waving Russian flag on the streets, and then calling for regime change. And with the kind of statement that was put out by Wynne himself, it's not helping his matters. It shows that, like I said, he may have given some financial, material, moral, or other support to the end bad governance protesters. And if that is the truth, then the laws of Nigeria should kick in. But I just don't want Nigerian police to engage in media by trial. Let them do their work as professional as they can. If now they have put 20 million bounty on him, they can ask the Interpol to help them to effect his arrest. We already know where he's holidaying or vacating. So when and if he eventually gets arrested, they can then press those charges against him and let him come and exonerate himself from those allegations.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much for your analysis, Jide Ojo, joining us to discuss the current situation on the hashtag End Bad Governance. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Investors in Nigeria's first foreign currency denominated domestic bond will receive their allotments on Friday. The $500 million bond launched by the federal government closed on August 30 and will be formally issued on September 6. The settlement date when the bond's 5-year tenor and 9.75% annual interest rate will start. The Series I US dollar bond, which opened on August 19, will be listed on the Nigerian Exchange, NGX, and FMDQ Securities Exchange. The Debt Management Office, DMO, says interest will accrue from the settlement date and the bonds will be credited to investors' Central Securities Clearance System account. The DMO and issuing houses are currently finalizing returns from receiving agents. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed a new board for the Bank of Industry Limited, signaling a fresh start for the nation's premier development finance institution. This was contained in a statement on Monday by Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajurin Gelali. Dr. Mansour Mukhtar, a veteran finance expert and former Minister of Finance, will chair the 13-member board, which includes seasoned professionals from various fields. Dr. Olasupo Olusi takes the reins as Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer. Other members of the board include Ifoma Uz Okwala, Executive Director, Large Enterprises, Shekarau Omaru, Executive Director, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Usen Efyong, Executive Director, Corporate Services, Mabel Ndagi, Executive Director, Public Sector and Intervention Programs, and Rotimi Akinde, Executive Director, Corporate Finance and Risk Management. Thanks for staying with us. The news continues in Central Africa, where 5 civilians and 5 soldiers of the Democratic Republic of Congo's army were killed in an attack on a bar in a troubled northeastern region. Military and local sources said weapons-wielding assailants had burst into the bar in the town of Nizi, 20 kilometers north of the regional capital, Bunai, late on Sunday. Long plagued by violence, Ituri province is the scene of the conflict between rival ethnic militias, which has led to the deaths of thousands of civilians and massive population displacements. Intercommunal violence killed thousands in Gold Reach, Ituri from 1999 to 2003 until an intervention by European forces restored calm. The conflict erupted again in 2017, resulting in thousands more deaths and the mass displacement of residents. Up north, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who assumed Algeria's presidency during mass pro-democracy protests, is touted his achievements as he seeks another term. However, 5 years after the Iraq movement faded, some say real change remains elusive. The Iraq protest, which led to the ousting of long-time autocratic President Abdelaziz Bouteflika in 2019, aimed for a comprehensive political overhaul. Tebboune, a minister under Bouteflika, took over as president in December that year after widely boycotted elections as the movement was stifled and its leaders were imprisoned. Now, as he campaigns for the September 7 election, Tebboune says he has succeeded in rectifying the country's past wrongs with broad achievements and is promising more if re-elected. We now head to the east, where farmers in northern Sudan's village of Misawi are resorting to solar energy to cut costs amid water and electricity shortages. After more than a year of war between the country's national army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, farmers are facing an ever-growing number of challenges.
المشكلة الأساسية إنه قطع الغيار والإسبيرات بتاعت الألواح بقت ذاتها ما متوفرة للشركة عشان توفر لك شنو قطع الغيار والإسبيرات، ودي مشكلة كبيرة جدا في استيراد الألواح الطاقة الشمسية والإنفرترات والمحولات. فكمية الأرض المزروعة كانت في 2020 400 فدان، من 1400 تغلصت ل 400 فدان. والمشروع طبعا صراحة أثر تأثير كبير جدا بقيام الحرب، لأنه مدخلات الإنتاج بقت اتضاعفت الأسعار حقتها. نحن عندنا شوال السماد من 18,000 ل 54,000 بعد الحرب مباشرة.
In South Africa, a bus carrying 42 passengers, including farm workers, plunged off a remote South African mountain pass, killing at least 9 people and injuring 16. According to the head of communications for the Western Cape Province Mobility Department, the bus crashed through an embankment on Van Rhyns Pass, about 340 kilometers north of Cape Town, on Monday evening. The accident comes after a bloody weekend on South Africa's roads, with more than 24 people killed in several accidents. U.S. President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris campaigned together for the first time on Monday in a public display of teamwork after she replaced him as candidate and revived Democratic election hopes. Seeking to attract voters in the key battleground state of Pennsylvania, the pair met union members in Pittsburgh before standing side by side to speak to about 600 supporters. Biden repeatedly name-checked Vice President Harris, who is in a close race to beat Donald Trump to the White House on November 5. The Labor Day event at the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union underlined how Biden will play a role in the campaign in the final months before the vote.
The President mentioned it. U.S. Steel is an historic American company, and it is vital for our nation to maintain strong American steel companies, and I couldn't agree more with President Biden. U.S. Steel should remain American-owned and American-operated.
I promise you, if you elect Kamala Harris as president, will be the best decision you will have ever made. And Kamala believes as I do. The unions are the spine of this economy.
Pope Francis has arrived in Muslim-majority Indonesia on Tuesday for the first stop of a 4-nation tour that will be the longest and farthest of the 87-year-old's papacy. The pontiff landed in the capital, Jakarta, around 11:16 a.m. local time to begin a 3-day visit devoted to inter-religious ties before he heads to Papua New Guinea, East Timor and Singapore. Still in the news, the United States on Monday seized Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's plane in the Dominican Republic and flew it to Florida, a move condemned by the South American leader as piracy, but which Washington said was necessary due to sanction violations. United States officials moved to take the aircraft, a Dassault Falcon 900EX private jet used by Maduro and members of his government. The U.S. says that late 2022 and early 2023, individuals affiliated with Maduro allegedly used a Caribbean-based shell company to conceal the involvement in the illegal purchase of the jet.
Today, we've seized a Venezuelan-owned aircraft predominantly utilized by Nicolas Maduro in violation of U.S. sanctions and other criminal matters that we're looking at with this aircraft. HSI, working in coordination with the Department of Commerce, Bureau of Industry and Security, and the Dominican government, seized the plane out of the DR and have officially brought it up here to the United States to start forfeiture proceedings. Success is just another example of how we continue to look at the corrupt practices of the Maduro regime.
Let's now join our business team for today's business news update.
Nigeria's manufacturing sector's contribution to the gross domestic product has witnessed a significant contraction over the past 2 quarters, reflecting a decline of 20.95% from the end of 2023 to the second quarter of 2024. According to the National Bureau of Statistics reports, the sector's contribution to GDP fell from 16.04% in Quarter 4 2023 to 12.68% in Quarter 2 2024, highlighting the sector's increasing struggles amid the country's economic challenges. This progressive decline over the first half of 2024 underscores the sector's vulnerabilities, particularly in the face of ongoing economic and infrastructural challenges. Meanwhile, efforts by the Nigerian government to ramp up power generations seem to be suffering a setback following the refusal of the electricity distribution companies to offtake the power allocated to them. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, decried the rejection of power by electricity distribution companies, describing it as regrettable. The minister, who was in China to attend the China-Africa Cooperation Summit, also disclosed that the federal government had concluded plans to release $800 million for the construction of substations and distribution lines under the Presidential Power Initiative. South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa has told Chinese President Xi Jinping he wanted to narrow his country's trade deficits with Beijing days before the Chinese leader is due to urge a summit of 50 African nations to buy more Chinese goods. Ramaphosa's remarks point to the challenge Xi may have in convincing African leaders gathered in Beijing to absorb more of the production powerhouse's wares, particularly after China did not meet a pledge from the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation Summit in 2021 to buy $300 billion, that's about 5.3 trillion rand worth of African goods. South Africa, which co-founded the BRICS group of developing economies, along with Brazil, Russia, India, and China, is also seeking Beijing's backing to help it move on from more than a decade of economic stagnation by building up its infrastructure. And that's all on business news. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
You're watching news now. When we come back, we have sports stories for you, especially news concerning Nigeria's Victor Osimhen. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Nigeria Football Federation confirmed the suspension of 2 match officials involved in the ongoing Nigeria Women's Football League NWFL Championship in Calabar, Cross River State. The officials impacted are referee and Mamong Idiongisid Anthony from Akwa Ibom and assistant referee Blessings Nwika from Rivers. They have both been removed from further participation in the NWFL Championship. This decision, which takes immediate effect, comes in light of their actions during match number 9, which featured Imo Striker Queens against Pelican Stars at the UJ Swin Stadium on Sunday, September 1, 2024. According to the NFF, the officiating of both referees during the match was deemed to have brought disrepute to the integrity of refereeing the Nigeria Women's Football League, the championship, and the sport. As a result, both officials are also suspended from all refereeing activities until further notice and are required to vacate the refereeing camp immediately as directed by the NWFL Championship Coordinator. In other news, Turkish Super League club Galatasaray have completed a short-term loan deal with Nigeria's Super Eagles and Napoli striker Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen has now agreed to join Galatasaray on a straight 4 months loan deal. In the short-term deal, there's no buy clause. It's straight loan with Victor requesting a break clause in January if top European clubs want him. Osimhen has also requested release clause at Napoli to be reduced from current 130 million euros to 75 million euros as a priority. Napoli and Galatasaray already agreed on loan with 9 to 10 million euros salary to be covered by the Turkish club. The Nigerian international came into the spotlight last weekend after he failed to make a move away from the Italian Serie A side. The Turkish club on Monday approached the former Italian champions to have Osimhen on loan and sealed the deal before transfer window closed. World number 1, Jannik Sinner produced some of his best tennis of the US Open so far to beat Tommy Paul and set up a tantalizing quarterfinal against Daniil Medvedev. Italy's Sinner beat home Hope Paul 7-6, 7-3, 7-6, 7-5, 6-1 in front of a rowdy New York crowd in the night session on Arthur Ashe. Well, Russia's Medvedev, the 2021 US Open champion, sent an emphatic statement earlier on Monday with a 6-love, 6-1, 6-3 win over Nuno Borges of Portugal. The pair are the only Grand Slam champions remaining in an open men's singles draw. Sinner came back from 2 sets down against Medvedev to clinch the Australian Open title in January. Sinner's lost just 5 matches this season, with 2 of those defeats coming on a hard court. And that's all we have for you on the news for this hour. But before we go, a quick look at some of the major stories. Nigeria police places 20 million naira bounty on Britain, Nigerian in crackdown on end bad governance protest sponsors. Investors in Nigeria's first foreign currency bond to get allocation. Militia kills 10 after attack on bar in Ituri. You can be part of the news by sending in your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number there on the screen. You can follow us on all socials on X, Facebook, Instagram, and the likes. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and stream live on YouTube. My name is Joe Hanson. Many thanks for watching. Stay with us. More programs coming your way on News Central.